A massive shout out to the Jonin tier member Mr. Leroy 1998 and Jenin tier Leah Rov. Your support means a lot. If you would like your name mentioned in every video, support the channel, as well as receive special perks and access exclusive series, consider becoming a member of this channel by hitting that join button. Hi guys, this is the final part of What If Gon Joined the Phantom Troupe. Written by Written10, brought to you by Ray What If. I hope you enjoy. Gon's Nen binding was taken off a few days later after he was thought to be safe to be without the jade green bracelet. He was back to training after that, and it was seen that he was putting quite a lot of effort in it. It was more like he was finding a venting space for whatever it was in his mind through exhausting himself. There were even days, that had been getting more frequent, where he pushed himself more than his Nen and body's capacity can hold, and collapsed. No one could stop him, because when they did, they ended up in a fight with him. Not even Kororo can stop such a fight with a simple coin flipping like the other members do. Maybe it was because Gon was a child, and he can't just settle a dispute with merely picking a side of a coin. It was those fights that Gon seemed to actually relax the most after, which also might have been another reason the fights had been allowed. Gon, despite it all, got closer to the spiders. More like, they were getting closer to him. Even with him leaking bloodlust aura when on missions, he stayed the kind Gon who helped those in need. Gon had this naturally attractive aura that made people unable to fool him despite how easy it is. It made him lovable, and probably the strongest while showing emotions where others think of emotions as a weakness. Kurapika went to Killua's bedroom a couple days later as something snapped to his mind all of a sudden. He did not bother knock and just opened the door. "Killua, we need to talk," he said somehow coldly. Sure. Killua had a very bad feeling about the way Kurapika was talking. Kurapika closed the door and walked, sitting on a chair that was in the room while Killua sat on his bed with his legs crossed. "I will not beat around the bush. You knew, didn't you? That Gon was working with them, I mean," Kurapika said immediately. Killua gulped. He did not expect to be found out at all, and this was not going to be a good outcome it seems. I can explain," he said abruptly before Kurapika pierced him with his chains because although Kurapika made no move to his chains, his aura showed it all. "Then do so, and quickly," the blonde said quite impatiently. When we were caught by the spiders, they just chained us up and tried getting information about you. At that moment, we knew nothing about you being the chain user that they were going after. Then there was one of their members who wanted to let out some steam and challenge Gon to an arm wrestling duel. He was very strong, and after many matches, where Gon's hand began bleeding, he finally lost. Then we were locked up again when Gon refused to join them after the one Gon fought offered it to him. They kept on torturing him for a couple days, leaving me aside to watch him in pain. Then their boss came and took a look at him then said, "If he doesn't join us in a week, kill him." And he did not even spare me a look then left. Killua then started trembling a little as he remembered what happened after. He put that guy who Gon arm wrestled with to work on convincing Gon to join them. Killua then started crying. He couldn't get himself to say almost anything anymore. "Continue, Killua," Kurapika said, tone ice cold and eyes glaring, but the glaring softened a little. Just a little. Killua forced himself to calm down quickly then resumed. "It started out with one of them, the one who suggested that Gon joins them. He slapped and punched that Gon spit blood, but he still refused. And it is my fault he endured the whole thing. I made him promise to never join them no matter what, and you know Gon. He will stick to his promise and grieve himself to death if he breaks it." Then that guy left. Meyer gave up, and then Strongest came, ITVWAS, a member that threatened to peel off Gon's nails. When Gon truthfully said that he knew nothing about the chain user, he started breaking Gon's fingers, one by one. It was so horrible, he stopped to take a breath. Then when Gon still refused to join them despite the huge pain he was in at the moment, the guy slashed my throat, and let me bleed. A female Nen user fixed my neck because I was not supposed to die, but Gon was still alive and was punched in the nose unconscious. When he woke up, his lips were sewn, but he did not realize that until it was too late and he ripped the stitches, his lips bleeding heavily. I was still unconscious at the time, my neck being sewn back. Their boss came and was informed of Gon. He then agreed and said that Gon has a week to accept or the both of us will be dead. They electrocuted him with what reached almost 2000 volts and he still lived. I can't even imagine how painful it was. Even at my home I never got this much and stayed conscious. They were horrible, and Gon's state was even more so. They took him away when he finally caved in due to the immense pain rushing through him. Even though he betrayed the promise, I can't get myself to blame him at all. Killua's eyes were letting out streams of tears as he spoke, stuttering and choking on words as he reached the end of his story. But then a few days later, I was taken to a room where I saw Gon, healed from everything as if nothing ever even happened. But his eyes were blank, as if there was no will to fight or to do anything anymore. He was mute. He could speak, but he refused. He was traumatized to speak. I have no idea at all if he still is like that though. He said that I can go, but I should not come or attack or else he can't stop the others. Though he would hate me for making him promise not to join. He was acting as if I had nothing to do with it. I did not tell you because I was afraid you will want to kill him for joining the troop that killed your clan. I know it isn't easy, but it was not easy for Gon either. He fell silent after that. Hoping for Kurapika to understand, Killua looked up to see Kurapika's eyes scarlet red. He was so damn furious at the moment, and it was bad. What the fuck, Killua? You kept something like that from me for so long. And why? Because you were afraid I will kill Gon. Oh yeah, he deserves that very much, and you too had you joined the fucking troop with him. Why in the bloody hell Sake have you even went to tail this guys? You know they are dangerous. You know they are much stronger than you are or will ever be. You know they killed an entire tribe and they are like what? 12 people, were you insane? Kurapika was shouting now, and while he was right, he looked downright creepy as hell. Kurapika stormed out of the bedroom, furious from Killua, from himself, from the troop, from the whole world, but not from Gon. He can't be angry at the boy. He endured something no one should ever have to withhold, but he did it bravely, and had Gon broken. Not even the bravest ever can live happily ever after from such torment, and Gon was not excluded either. The blonde Kurta picked up his phone and dialed a number. When the caller answered, he began, "Moshi Moshi," it means hello over the phone in Japanese. "Ah, Kurapika, what can I do for you?" The unknown voice said. "I need your help, I can't take it anymore." "Sure, meet me today at 8:30, same location." See you." Then Kurapika closed. "Gon, you have finally beat me," Hisoka said, chuckling. Gon froze abruptly. He had beaten Hisoka during training. No way. The two had went to a desolated, desert-like area to have their might be last practice together. Hisoka had made an agreement with Gon. If the younger boy can beat Hisoka, or catch him off guard and thus, beat him, Gon will be let free from training. It was considerably tempting for Hisoka can be such a jerk and tease during training. Gon had gone into full fighting mode, but keeping his mind in check that there should be no killing. Hisoka had also found himself having to put a huge lot of effort to go against Gon without getting too much damage. The goal was to get the other say, "I give up." However, it was not acceptable if the other surrendered for a petty reason, which made the first all the more serious. The both of them ended up bloody when back to the base, but it was worth it. Gon kept smiling for the next few days, knowing that he can now challenge Phaeton and maybe win. Though, to reach that, Gon should train from someone stronger. The sad part is that no one is stronger than Phaeton except Kuroro, and he might refuse training him. But thus was Gon, if he wanted something, he will have it. 5th month mark, and Gon was still with the spiders. He likes it there. It is fun, and he had changed them to the better. While they used to be so gloomy, rarely talking with one another, and settling fights with coin flipping, Gon came and flipped the tables. He encouraged fights among them so that they can understand because in its own way, they will solve their problem. Just like Kurapika and Leorio when they met on the ship to Dole. They did not really realize the change, he supposed, but it is fine. He was enjoying it better with them being more civil with each other, more normal, if we put aside the fact that they are wanted mass murderers and thieves. They have been less serious with each other and more familiar, even sometimes, just sometimes, joking too. Gon was now walking towards Kuroro's room to ask him to train her. He hoped that he would be able to train well enough to show Phaeton how painful it is when someone is tortured under his hands. "Nay, Kuroro, are you here?" Gon asked as he stood at Kuroro's bedroom door, pretty much knowing the answer. Enter, Gon," he replied. Gon twisted the doorknob, opening the door. "I have been thinking that I want to get stronger, Tabun, 1, he said a little nervously. Why, don't you think you are strong enough already? You pretty much are on the same level as Hisoka's. Why would you want more? Kuroro asked. Because I am, still very weak. I don't like how useless I can be. Gon said, but he was so wrong, for he was a very powerful boy. Just a little more and he would be stronger than Killua, if he wasn't so already. There will always be someone who is stronger than you. What will you do in that case? Kuroro asked. The boy has to be aware of this, that there always be someone stronger than him. He expected understanding or something, but he was quite dumbfounded by the answer Gon have him. Then I will work to beat each person I find who is stronger than me until I am satisfied. He said in utter determination that obviously held a hell lot of resolve that did not seem like something to be easily crushed. Kuroro sighed in defeat. He knew this attitude of Gon, and there was no use arguing back when it surfaces. Fine, we start tomorrow. Don't even think I will be the same as Hisoka, I am much harsher. Understood. Gon's eyes lit brightly in hope. He will be able to get more powerful. He was immensely excited at the moment. He skipped back to his bedroom happily, already becoming impatient for the other day to begin. And for that, Gon, for the first time ever, woke up before everyone had. Even better, he woke up on his own, and not because of a nightmare or something. This made him even merrier. While practicing a month through day and night, Gon, at the moment, was taking a short break before continuing the routine with Kuroro. The man was seriously strong and Gon found it hard to be taught under him, for he has no mercy. However, it boosted his determination even further, which surprised all the other spiders greatly. Gon, get ready, we resume in a couple minutes, Kuroro said. He was highly impressed with the boy. He has a huge potential that he had been catching up neatly. Actually, it was a wonder that he was still alive after all this rigorous work he had been put through during the month. He expected Gon to give up from the first few days, the first week at maximum. Gon managed to astound him so repeatedly that he felt that he should not get surprised anymore if the boy proves him wrong in one more thing. Okay, calm, pulse. Gon stumbled, and inhaled so sharply. Gon, are you okay? Kuroro said when he heard something hit and Gon never finished his sentence. Gon hit his knee when he stumbled, not that Kuroro saw it, but he clenched the cloth that lay on his chest just above his heart. Why yeah, I just hit my Oni. He chuckled nervously. He did not know what that was, but he shrugged it off as being exhausted from exerting a lot more effort than ever this past month. They resumed, but Kuroro soon ended the session when he saw that Gon was not responding as well as usual to his attacks during their end-of-week progress check duel. They did it every Sunday to check what Gon had improved with during the week, but now, Gon was barely dodging Kuroro's attacks. Go rest, you are in no shape to practice today. However, I expect you to put more effort tomorrow to make up for today. Gon was panting heavily but nodded anyways. Weeks later, the incident was forgotten, and Gon was back to his old self. Kuroro never bothered asking again because he thought that Gon will be okay. What he did not know, however, is that sometimes Gon still felt that pulse. Gon thanked God that he was always alone when it happened, because each time it occurred, it was worse than the one before. More intense, more fatiguing. Whenever it happened, it took longer than the time before to end the pain that increased with every time. Each time, its effect spread more, making him feel utterly weaker. Every single time. During one of their duels, Kuroro was just sending a vastly powerful hit towards Gon's abdomen. Pulse. Gon doubled over, clutching the side of his heart and eyes widening in shock and pain. It threw Kuroro off guard. He thought Gon was defending himself by avoiding the hit, but when he saw the younger boy clutch his chest so tight, he stopped his fighting mode immediately. Gon. Kuroro hurried to Gon's side. Gon's vision swam, it fading in and out rapidly as he panted. Hurts, he said, his voice not above a faint whisper. He closed his eyes trying to shut off the pain in futile attempts. Pulse. His legs no longer held up, and he collapsed to the floor. He felt so put pain. So much of it, so bad, his veins were about to explode from the pressure he currently felt. Indescribably tormenting. It hurt much worse than when he was being tortured by Phaeton. Pulse. He coughed roughly. He felt like perishing. Yes, dying just about now seemed to be a very great idea if it meant he would be able to get rid of this suffering. The coughing became even more violent as his whole body shook. He had not realized when Kuroro left the room to call for Maki, for his body was focusing on the merciless throbbing. His mind had not noted when he was in all four, coughing blood. What was wrong? He had absolutely no idea. All he knew at the moment is pain. His bones felt like breaking till they became powder, his muscles throbbed as if asking to be torn, his veins pumped blood heavily as if trying to keep the blood flowing. His head screamed and his eyes hurt. He might have been crying, but his body was just focused on the stabbing pain to care or know if he was crying or not. Maki came running behind Kuroro when she heard that Gon seemed to have something like a seizure. The other members, who all have grown really fond of Gon, ran behind the two, but kept their distance so that they don't hinder them. Paulson Gon was in the floor, panting heavily and gasping for breath. It felt like the end, and he felt like losing consciousness as well. Hoping that fainting would distract his brain from the agonizing pain, Gon let himself slip into darkness. Darkness, vast darkness. What is this place? Gon thought as he looked around. It was scary. Gon was not afraid of many things, but being left in the darkness alone is one of the rare things that left Gon trembling in fear. He saw a flash of light, then figures. They did not get closer, yet they became clearer. Killua, Kurapika, Leorio, Wing, Zushi. They were all standing over a tombstone. Who died? Gon did not know why he was seeing the grieving piece of stone so clearly from so far. Gon Freex May 5, 1987 to June 15, 2000. May you rest in peace. Huh, why was Gon's name written there? When had he died, or is he already dead now? Gon chuckled bitterly. A while later, they left. However, while they were there, Killua was crying so badly, sobbing out loud in grief. He screamed himself so hard that his throat hurt. Why did Killua never show me such emotion? Did it have to be my death for him to cry over? Gon thought sadly. Gon decided to turn his back and walk away through this darkness, away from his tomb, when he heard more voices. He looked back and his eyes widened. The Gene Ryoden. They all looked so dejected and gloomy. They were sad for Gon's death. Shalnark, not being one to hide his emotions, cried freely. Hisoka, who Gon never thought was possible to cry, actually cried. His head was hung low as tears fell off his face every few moments. Phaeton actually sobbed. That was unexpected. Maki let her emotions control her at the moment, just like what happened to Killua. Kuroro put a hand over his eyes, covering the tears flowing hard. They all grieved for him. They were blurring now. He heard a voice, a female voice. He can't recognize it though. Why? Gon, come to me, son. Son. This is his mother, Alicia Freex, the one he only knew her name and never heard her voice because he didn't want to even when he got the chance. Mito was his mother. This woman, whoever she was, whatever she looked like, was not more than the one who held him and have birth to him. He doesn't consider a mother to be one who just gives birth. Mother is a title a woman earns when she raises the child, and Alicia Freex didn't do that. No, I don't want to go to her. Not now, not yet, Gon pleaded, trying to back away from the source of the voice. Gon ran away, as far away as his speedy legs can take him. Another flash showed. The Gene Ryoden again. It is at the base though. Kuroro and Maki were right beside his bed, him unconscious and thrashing around in the bed viciously. The others were cramped at the door of the room, different expressions of worry evidently painting their faces. So, he had not died yet. There is hope, to go back and finish that duel with Kuroro. Maybe if he finished it, he can accept dying in peace. Conveyed more than enough. The pain, the hurt, the anger of himself for being so vulnerable, and disappointment. I see, Hisoka said, understanding the meaning behind the sentence, and deciding not to prod or step over any line. Hi. Soka, wa. Hap, end. Gon said, panting faintly. That was a lot of words for just waking up. A lot happened, Hisoka replied, his gaze staring into nothing. I doubt you were much aware of your surrounding or what you were doing with the intensity of the tormenting pain, but you were not under control at all. You were thrashing and tossing around, and your nen burst around you, which made it all the harder on us to control you. It was only Kuroro and Maki at first, they tried holding you down. It was all going fine when you started screaming in agony. It was a very loud scream, we never really heard you do that before except the day you repeated joining the troupe. Then I came along with Phaeton to try calm you down, but your nen was so dark and powerful. It resisted anything else that would usually hold you down, including my bungee gum. This is its name in 1999. In 2011, I think its name was Elastic Love. Gon looked dumbfounded, but there was going to be worse to hear. Even after you fell unconscious, you were still struggling as harsh as you were when awake, and a surge of nen threw the four of us crashing into the wall of the practice room. I am not sure how you were calmed down in the end, but then we tried putting the nen restricting bracelet. You, or rather your nen, however, broke it off in a moment, and all hell broke loose. We couldn't get near you for another full day till you lay limp on the floor. It was then when we took you here. After another day, we decided to attach those IVs in your arm because we couldn't identify when you were going to wake up. I did some memories recall from the past years of my life to try remember if I could know what happened to you, and I did find something. A year before joining or so the troupe, at 24, I had a similar case. The pain, the uncontrollable nen gushing out of me, it was then identified as my nen core widening to hold all the power I was wielding. It made me stronger. However, upon more research, I realized that it only occurs to those in specialist category. Meaning Kuroro and Phaeton must have had it at one point or another. Though what made it so painful for you was your age. It is an extreme rarity for someone's core to enlarge at such a young age. Gon was now looking like a mess of mixed up emotions, confusion, fear, fascination, and utter horror. Take your pick. Hisoka resumed though, if Gon wanted explanation, he will give it to him. And due to your young age, your body was not exactly ready to widen your core, and thus, it cracked. This little fracture caused the coma, and extra suffering. If you were older when it happened, my age perhaps, it would have gone much easier. You can say that there are two stages to one's nen core expansion. It happens once at an age, and again, but either less painful or more, at another age, when the body once more needs more space to withhold all your powers. Personally, I know that neither me, nor Kuroro or Phaeton have reached that. You, however, is total different story. I believe you would reach the second, and full, awakening. This requires tedious practice, like the one with Kuroro. You will be surprised. Go see how immense and vast your abilities have become after this. Until then, you will stay in bed for at least another month. You will still feel weak for a long while. Shock was plastered on Gon's face, and sheer confusion swirled in his eyes. He was barely keeping up with this new information, and it was a huge turn in his life. That means he has become stronger than Killua. At least nen-wise, he still needs to work out more for his physique to strengthen. Wow, was all Gon could say for now. Wait for the aftershock though. He will be bouncing in excitement, then wincing in pain for moving his body so suddenly. He imagined reaching the second awakening. He can be stronger than most people, stronger than or at least at the same powers as Jing. Oh, that would be lovely. But, it is said that second awakenings can become deadly if the body is not able to handle them, which is why there is a very small number of nen users around the world who have reached their second drowsing. It is said that they are below the count of 10, but it is an unspecified number. If you work to reach your second awakening, you will become pretty much undefeatable. Lovely, huh, then it will be pretty much impossible to fight you. How sad. If you live through your second awakening, spare me a fight please. Hisoka winked as he said, please. Well then, I should go and let you rest. See you later, Gon. Like he had already forgotten this place. When he reached the main room, he was met by smiles, and a frowning Kuroro. Why are you out of bed, Gon? Kuroro asked sternly. Well, I was bored. You never even said I should stay in my room. You just said no training, so I thought, maybe I am allowed to, wander around a little. He said, his voice trailing off, fearing that he had broken rule or something when he was not listening at some point. Kuroro sighed. He was wrong, and he intimidated the boy. It was not really intimidation, but fear that he had crossed a line. Gon barely gets overpowered with words, unless it was related to broken promises or commands. He softened his gaze and eased, you are right. I am sorry, I can't restrict you any further than that. Come here. Gon then smiled a little shyly, blushing as he walked forward in his pajamas, just realizing that he was in them. I will go change my clothing. Be back in a few minutes, he said, already halfway through the hallway. 2 weeks completed, Gon found himself skipping happily down the halls for breakfast. He was allowed to start practicing again, and then come Greed Island. Everything was so Gria. Boom. Silence. Gon blinked twice. The troop members around him blinked thrice. Hisoka was another skin to the stone wall. Sorry. Hisoka, I am so sorry. Gon teared up. He trembled in fear of his own self. He had not thought of anything when he felt faint attacking aura from behind, and he directly turned a flat hand. It hand not even touched anything, and Hisoka was plastered on the wall. He kept on mumbling nonsense as he pulled a very shocked Hisoka off the wall. What happened? Kuroro asked in a demanding, authoritative tone. Gon trembled and went silent. He had no idea why, or even how, he had thrown Hisoka with so much force. Hisoka coughed a couple times, clearing his throat, then said, "It was my fault, Dancho." I sneaked up behind Gon to see how he would react, and he responded impulsively and very impressively at that. "And don't worry, Gon, I am fine." Then he patted Gon's head. Kuroro sighed and muttered, "Such a handful, I swear." Then spoke out loud, "Gon, after breakfast, we will work on controlling your reactions to attacks, or anything else at that matter. Meet me in the usual room." Gon nodded hurriedly and ran to the dining room. "Remind me to never get on his nerves." Finally spoke Nobunaga. "You realize that if he wished, he would have ended your existence long before his Nen core matured for never getting on his nerves," replied Finks sarcastically, and he walked away to the dining room as well. "Anyo, Kuroro," called Gon, just a day before they entered the game. "Yes, I have a saved game data ring with me. It belonged to Jing, but he left it for me. I want to throw it away. If you want, give it to someone who is Goibiji with me and Hisoka to Greed Island or use yourself." He admitted. "Why not take it yourself? It would give you a higher chance at actually finishing the game quicker." Kuroro questioned curiously. It was weird that Gon is Abkei to get rid of such a valuable item. "I want to challenge myself into completing the game myself," he said with that determined tone that means that nothing would, or could, change this resolve. "Alright, you are not to use it if you don't wish to do so. However, you will keep it with you. Now, go to sleep, tomorrow we are leaving," Kuroro declared, then he ushered the boy with his very valuable ring back to his room. "Besides, you would kill the boy if you were not careful enough." Hyosuke tried reasoning with Gon. It was unusual of him, and he still of course wanted a fight with Killua, but that had to wait. "Not here, not now. Who cares about my cover? He will know sooner or later, you know. Whether it is in this game or back outside. I just want to see how it feels to be stronger than Killua. Also, we can get cards from tagging along with Killua, he has a brain to track these things." Gon countered. He had a point, and Hisoka knew it well. "One stubborn idiot," he muttered under his breath before he finally replied, "Fine, but not now. He seems to need something from us, or just me, then you can fight him. Just don't kill him or seriously injure him when the time comes." Gon beamed at that and thanked Hisoka, then skipped back to Killua. "Nay, Killua, do you want to have a one-on-one duel?" "With Nen of course," Gon said excitedly. Killua raised an eyebrow. "Huh, I am not an easy opponent, you should know." "Of course I know. Now will you accept or not? I have not been in combat mode in a while and I missed it." "Hee," Gon said casually. "Alright, when your arms heal." "Oh, that would take some time. Or do you want to train first?" he said a little arrogantly. "No, but I will kill you by mistake if you were not in your top condition." "Okay," now Killua surprised. Didn't this girl just say she had not fought in a while? That sounded a little suspicious, in Killua's eyes. Then she continued when Killua did not answer, "Yes, well. Will you duel with me or not? This conversation is pointless if no." Gon said impatiently. Okay, so impatient." Killua grumbled, and Gon cheered. Killua's recovery had taken about 2 weeks, and Gon waited patiently with him, really not training as she said, which was starting to creep him out. They got in defensive mode of opposing sides, then they began. Killua had tried everything, even his electricity, but nothing worked on her. She seemed to hold some resistance to him or his electricity. Unless she was trained to withhold electric currents, just like Killua, this girl can't really stay standing from his electrocuting attacks. Her attacks, however, were on a total different level, like Hisoka. Insanely strong yet hidden. Needless to say that it was a gruesome fight on Killua's side, and he admitted defeat before she sliced him in half. He sat on the ground, panting from all the effort he had to put during that fight. Sakura then decided to give Killua a hard attack, that was really good, Killua. You have improved quite greatly, I must say. Improved. This is the first time I see you, and oddly at that. I don't meet someone to fight them like this. He said as if she was spewing nonsense. Oh come on, you should have realized it at least. But it seems I did put some effort on keeping myself incognito, Killua. Gon said, slipping the wig off his head with a smirk. Gee Gon, how? Just how? Killua was lost for words. He had absolutely no idea how that had come to happen, but it really was utterly shocking and scary. Gon had some freakish abilities that he had never had when they were together. He has gained some insane powers that really were never expected to happen. Who knew that innocent Sakura was an insanely powerful Gon? Definitely not Killua. But wait, why was Gon cross-dressing in Greed Island? So many questions, and very little answers. Pin Pon. You were right, said Gon with a short giggle. His hair lay low from being pressed down by the wig for a long while, and because it was growing longer, and thus, heavier to keep on standing tall. A new development it was, not significant, but prominent enough to tell the difference. No. How did you see come here? Killua asked, eyes still quite wide in surprise. No. He had expected none of this, from Gon's presence in Greed Island to him cross-dressing as Hisoka's younger sister. Well, I was bound to find my way here. Besides, it was fun playing dodgeball with you, unless you did not enjoy it, that is another thing. What a shame. Gon faked disappointment as he frowned. It is not that, I was surprised that you were cross-dressing the whole time. Why? Killua questioned. It was a disguise outfit for when I went for missions, and then Kuroro insisted I wear these for Greed Island, so I did. He said, swishing his mid-calf skirt around for a moment. Did it surprise you? He smirked. Yeah, and what happened to your powers? You don't emit the same aura as you did the first we got our Nen to surface. Killua said nervously. I am not a manipulator anymore. I became a specialist, and I don't really know why. Though Kuroro said that it was something about a major change in my emotions that my Nen core switched categories drastically. To be honest, we found it out in the form of an accident. He replied, somewhat happy that he had a better ability. Wait. Didn't you stop talking after you joined them? Killua exclaimed. Suyeba, it means something along the lines of, oh yeah. I did such a thing, but a month later or so later, the troupe gave me a reason to actually speak again. Why, did you, by any chance, like me mute? Gon frowned. I mean no, I did not mean it that way, but I had no idea that it was. And, Gon, I missed you so fucking much. At first it was a ramble of words, but then Killua stood up abruptly, and fisted his hands, punching Gon's chest lightly as his eyes filled with tears. Gon couldn't deny his astonishment. After all, it was not every day that he would see Killua breaking down. He never did that. Why now it was a mystery. At least for him, for he was quite oblivious as usual. Gon missed him too, but Killua didn't save him from the spiders as he promised. The solid proof is his very presence here, that he was in Greed Island. Gon felt hardness in his heart. Killua was losing him, if he didn't already, and he was doing so little to none to gain him back. Gon even doubted that Killua realized the seriousness of the situation. He placed his hands on the whitehead's chest, and pushed him away with a little force. He gave him a small, sad, smile and said, Killua, you don't seem to realize that you are talking with the wrong person. I have changed a lot since you made me give you that promise, the promise to never join the spiders. That is the problem though. I changed, and you never did so with me. It opened a huge gap, and we lost it from there. I don't hate you, but we can't be friends. I am so sorry. Gon said, taking a few steps back, leaving Killua standing there, broken, flabbergasted. The Zoldyck had come to the game to gain more experience and abilities so that he would be able to save Gon. Gon, however, was right to think that Killua just abandoned him. It still saddened him to know that he had failed his best friend, that he let him slip from between his fingers. You don't need friends, kill, Illumi's voice suddenly sounded in his head. No, Gon is right, but I can gain him back. Gon is warm-hearted. Killua tried thinking back against that ringing of Illumi's voice dominating his thoughts. You can't have friends, kill, you are an assassin. The voice repeated. Killua trembled. No, it was wrong. It is always wrong. Illumi was never right, was he? Hisoka was watching from a distance. The two had bonded throughout the period leading up to the dodgeball game, as Killua Zoldyck and Sakura Moreau, but it had all shattered once Gon decided to reveal his identity. However, he was right doing so, for anything other than that will only mislead the assassin and increase the hardness of confessing with the truth. Really, what a shame. Those two were a great duo, but Gon joining the Spiders was a major turnaround on this friendship. He walked away. He can't show up in front of either of them without receiving any injury. While he wanted to, it was useless if they were not ripe or willing to fight and just to let off steam. Besides, they need time for themselves to assess their current situation at this critical point. There were two ways for this to end. Either their ties end up severing till they perish almost or simply completely, or they miraculously patch it up, and are back to best friends. The first option means that will forever stay with the Spiders, mostly forgetting all his previous contacts, or most of them. The second option means that Gon might actually find a way to leave the Phantom Troupe, importing the fact that Gon's loyalties did not and never will reside with the Spiders. However, knowing Gon, he might actually manage to stay with the troupe and secure back his friendship with his friends. Bo-ma, Gon said sinisterly, saying the two syllables separately. He was in front of Genthuru, also known as Bomber, with her, Sakura, self. I know the name is Bomber, but in Japanese it's said as Boma. So it is you, little one. So, why are you here? Bomber sneered. The girl did look just a little intimidating, but he believed that no matter her attitude, he can easily beat her, kill her as well. To end you. But first, can I ask a question? Gon said enthusiastically as if he was talking about playing instead of killing. Really? How about we see what your question is before you leave the world? Bomber indirectly insulted. Gon went silent for a few moments. Alright, where is card 000? Hey, since you will not get to find it after this lovely conversation, I will disclose its whereabouts. Fair enough, Gon said smugly. This girl knows she will die, and she still wants to know where the card is. Why, does anyone she knows is around here who will hear what I will say? If so, why is she so willing to die for a card that she will not even get? Bomber contemplated. It was all so suspicious, but the girl had always been alone when he saw her. Always. Really, what was she after? And you are fine by dying. Why would you need the card's location if you are going to be dead? Bomber tested. Well, you will want to kill me in all cases, so I just wanted to know where the card that cost me my life was. Gon smiled. What the is she insane? Genthuru thought. It did seem that Gon was suicidal and carefree, and it sort of scared the man how courageous and accepting that girl was. Fine. Card 000 is in the Greed Island Palace. No one has access to it except the game creators. Any attempt to enter the palace results in the death of the intruder. He explained. Then he smirked. Now, time for you to die, little girl, so don't you try to back down now. Sure, was the last thing Bomber heard before his head rolled over the floor, it being detached from his body now. Gon had freezed his neck off. Oh, how much he liked this technique. Clean, bloodless, rapid. Hisoka. Gon skipped back to where Hisoka had told him to find him. He now knew the place of the last card, card 000, and all was left was to actually get it. Genthuru said that anyone who tries get in the palace will be killed. Hey, new challenge. Gon dressed up again. He just took off his green set and put on a knee-length black dress and tights along with his usual boots. He was going to investigate this palace before he tries to get in there. He was reckless, but not suicidal, so researching was all he could do for now. He walked casually towards the palace, as if admiring it, then led his nen into an incognito state to make him look like an unthreatening and a weaker presence. Gon stood at the gates of the, at a closer look, quite large palace. He supposed there would be a guard or knight or something or someone he can ask about the palace. After that, he expected to be in a library for proper education about the place, and maybe then he can formulate an acceptable plan to take that card. Greed Island was a fun place, but his gather had taken it a little too far with hiding the very first card in a place no player is allowed to enter. Just what was Jing thinking when he did that? Gon sighed. He walked closer to the palace, then saw a guard. He put on the little girl act, then started skipping all the way to the first guard in sight. The guard raised his eyebrows as he saw a child standing in this place, alone. Hello, sir, can I ask you a few questions? Gon asked innocently. Little girl, this is not a place you should be in alone without a guardian or a parent. He ignored her as he said what he expected was best when he sees a young girl walking alone in this dangerous game. Gon smirked internally. She supposed this guard knew who Jing was, so she was going to give him a minor heart attack. I don't have such a thing. My mum died, and Jing abandoned me to become a hunter. I came here with my friend. I see. Wait, Jing, as in, Jing Freex, as if, you look nothing like him. He scoffed. Gon got pissed off, but the man was right. She looked nothing like Gon or Jing at that matter. How about, we take this inside and I'll show you that I am saying the truth. He said. Stop wasting my time, kid. The guard said sternly. Gon was already getting fed up with that man. He already was stubborn as it was, why wouldn't he budge? Fine, if he wants it the hard way, she will do it the hard way. Gon dropped the kid act, including the innocent face, and her expression looked like Hisoka's when he would smile sinisterly. Look, neither do I care about your time, nor do I want to spend any time here anyways. Will you or will you not answer my question? The man trembled a little from the sudden change of demeanor from the supposed child. Fine. Thank you. Then Gon smiled innocently as if nothing happened. Information extracted from one poor guard later, Gon made his way to the library of Greed Island. It was actually huge. He went to the section of history to hopefully find a book about the history of the castle, how it was protected, and card 000. All he ended up with was that the castle was well warded, and the card was always heavily protected, as well as that the castle is the oldest part of Greed Island. Well, he can manage, he thought. After all, he had been through worse. Bomber had been ended, so that was one obstacle down. He now needs to find a way to properly take that card because Greed Island was starting to get repetitive when the competition died out and there were no more cards to get except card 000. Gon concealed his very presence flawlessly. No way anyone was going to find him sneaking into that palace. Also Hisoka was gracious enough to teach him how to run way too quick that it was unnoticed he even moved. That was a great advantage. It was like teleporting if he ran. That was exactly was he had done until he reached the room that card 000 was contained in. Sure, he almost got caught a few times, maybe a lot of times actually, but he managed. The moment was time he put all he had been trained in with the spiders in action. Levitation. He activated his nen, putting a block around the room so that his nen is not sensed while he used it. It would be seriously troublesome if anyone were to find him. He wrapped the card in nen, very carefully, and pulled it out tactfully. It was really nerve-wracking. This place is different. He was not taught to steal from a palace where all the security had mastered nen. Overwhelming, it was, but Gon was not one to give up, given his past. Just as he pulled it away, an alarm sounded. Oh crap, Gon thought. No need to panic. Use the speed, and that's it, hopefully. Gon was running away all right until he encountered a guard on the gates. Stop right there, he called, wielding his nen to fight Gon. However, Gon didn't stop anywhere to fight. He was not going to do that. His job was to take the card, and leave with the other members. That was it. He was being attacked viciously, and he could not stop to defend himself, so he let his body handle it as he ran away. Hopefully, he would live by the end of it. He had arrived to a safe place, finally, he thought. That was a tough one-sided battle on his part. Old Gon would have fought back till his last breath, but the Gene Ryoden had taught him better. He had been foolish, he admitted, and even though he became a murderer as well as a thief, he got a better view to the world. A better view on how to live. Gon collapsed just as he arrived to the place he and Hisoka planned to meet the rest of the members in the game in. They hurried to his side to help, and he woke up just the second day as if nothing happened the previous day except for high soreness in sensitive spots where he had been hit. Though first thing he uttered as soon as he opened his eyes was, "I got the card." Then he was jumping from foot to foot until the pain caught up with him. Shalnark snickered at how childish Gon acted like. No matter how they teach him or change him, Gon will always be Gon. Put it in your book already, Hisoka said, tapping his foot on the ground impatiently as he leaned against the doorframe of the room. Gon grinned widely and called, "Book." Poof, and the book appeared. Gon flipped to the first page. The empty slot space for card 000 was practically calling for him. His eyes lit up brightly as he placed it down in its corresponding place. Finally, he heard a message. It was telepathically sent to him, and only him. None other had heard it, it seemed to him. He was allowed to leave with as many people as he wished. Great, finally leaving this overrated game. Gon's grin expanded, if that was even possible, and announced the message he received. They all congratulated him, and decided to leave immediately. Gon kept in mind all he wanted to keep with, and deep down his mind, he added Killua's name to the list. They all got mentally prepared, and a pregnant silence hung around the room. I know this isn't how it went, but Greed Island is all messed up anyways. Finally, they all felt themselves vanishing from this hellish part of the world, and back to where the game projector in the spider's base was. Gon was back, like, really back. He looked around him for a while, saw a couple members sitting there, looking bewildered at the sudden arrival of the rest of them from that one atrocious game. He was panting in exhaustion. That teleportation took its toll on him and the spiders who arrived with him. Him, being the youngest, thus the least able to handle the pressure, fainted. The others just swayed, some with severe headaches and others with imbalance. Maki and Cortopi came for their aid, supporting them to a better place to hold on, and laying Gon in the bed of his room in his unconscious case. Killua was heavily trying to take in breaths, grasping his consciousness. He, too, had returned back to where he entered the game from, but he had absolutely no clue as to how he had done that. It was confusing, but for now, he was going to concentrate on not letting himself slip into unconsciousness. He had higher durability in withstanding to pain and exhaustion than Gon despite being as young as him. After a few minutes, he regained his composure, and looked around trying to figure out where had he landed. It was that rich old man's large mansion. True, he returned because Sumine had finished the game and chose to take him out alongside him or her, but that miserable old man was not going to like the fact that he had not completed the game and gotten the card he was expected to bring along. Killua sighed in exasperation, no available escape from this, how troublesome. He trotted down the various halls of the massive place in a search for any of the people who he knew before leaving to the game. When the proved useless, Killua went over to the phone and dialed Leorio's number. "Hello," answered Leorio his phone as he saw an unsaved number calling his Beetle cell phone. "Oi, Leorio, this is me, Killua," the white head replied. You finished the game," Leorio burst, and Killua pulled the phone away from his ear at the sudden outburst. "Damn, that man can get loud." "Not really, I'll explain, but I need to meet you in Kurapika as soon as can be," Killua urged, and he hung up with Leorio just as the older man mentioned the time and setting. He left the mansion thoughtfully. His life had taken an upside-down route since he urged Gon to follow the spiders months ago. So basically, Gon getting tortured, joining the Phantom Troupe, becoming a thief and a killer, and becoming a total different person was no one but Killua's fault. The white-haired boy felt like pulling his white locks off. Yet, Gon still forgave him. He did not make amends with their friendship, but he was able to forgive, though not forget. "So, what is this about?" urged Kurapika. He was wearing a black suit for his job as a spoilt rich girl's guard began in a couple days. Gon was in the game with Hisoka. Though he was toying with me, Jin decided it was wise to cross-dress as Sakura Muro, Hisoka's non-existing younger sister. He made it seem that we were getting along, and he was too powerful for me to recognize him as him. He told me, then we never crossed paths again. I suppose Gon managed to get the last card, and had the privilege to take out anyone he wanted. He pulled me out with him, but he was nowhere to be found. The older two were barely taking in the information. Gon was just so mysterious. And you were too dense to know that, girl, was gone by the attitude. Kurapika said sarcastically. "Hey, what, I don't see how you were best friends." The blonde rolled his eyes. Still sticking with hey, Killua huffed. Deep down, he didn't miss the past tense of his friendship with Gon. It hurt. Killua missed Gon. The old Gon, not this unpredictable, sinister killer. But what can he do? Gon distanced himself even further like this. He was doing it deliberately. He only got close to the white-haired boy when he was dressed up a girl of all cases. Will he ever be able to amend this messed up relationship? Or has it already been thrown down a steep valley to never return? Killua didn't want to know. He feared the truth. What if he couldn't fix it? It was devastating if he really couldn't have it back. So Killua preferred that the mysterious destiny of a deeply fractured friendship to stay mysterious for as long as it could, forever, if possible. Gon and the members of the Gene Ryoden, who were in Greed Island, showed up without warning in the main room of the base. No one of those who stayed were expecting this, but it wasn't an unpleasant surprise, in the very least. "Heyo, we are back," Gon announced, as if it wasn't obvious, grinning from ear to ear. "Took you long enough," Kuroro replied. "Geez, after all this time, one would think you would give as much as a welcome back. Seems you didn't miss us, such a shame." Gon exaggerated an obviously fake hurt tone. Kuroro rolled his eyes and ignored the comment as he resumed, "Well then, how was it? Does it deserve all that hype?" Gon grinned once more like mad. "Yep, it has a lot of interesting turns, though it feels like you fell into a video game by like those game consoles because we were gathering random cards that I see were not really useful. Getting targeted by mind-twisted idiots who have some power, I will have to admit. And meeting Killua there, but I posed as another identity, Hisoka's younger sister, until I decided to just tell him who I was. Then I left, and I found the last card by stealing it from the castle of Greed Island. Then I left the game with the other members as well as sneaking Killua too, though I knew he will pan somewhere different, the place where he entered the game from, because he entered from somewhere else and I came from here." Everyone present was blinking at the team. They were sure this was on sentence said in one breath. God, the boy needed to improve his run on sentences. Gon had some breath, they knew. He somehow was able to keep his breath held for solid 8 minutes, so this was no feat. This info was mentioned in the 1999 series during the 4th task, Zevil Island. "That's it?" asked Cordopi, her shaded eyes peeking creepily from her hair. Gon shrugged. "Well, yeah, it was annoying," Hisoka just murmured. I think I want to shower and go to sleep," Gon said. "Gon, it's 6. You can't seriously want to sleep now." "I do. Now see you." The young boy exited the room to seek out his own business. "I just want to know how he can sleep so much yet still get tired." Gon. Kurapika's eyes burnt scarlet red. The older boy had asked from Hisoka to manage a little conversation between him and their youngest member. "Kurapika, what's wrong?" Kurapika was already seething on the inside. What did he mean what's wrong? He was part of his most hated troupe, and he just says what's wrong. Had the boy gotten insane? What's wrong? You with the Gene Ryoden, you not fighting against them, being part of their crimes, going against us. And you still have the audacity to ask what's wrong. Well, it was either living in torture, or getting used to it. I have them wrapped around my finger. I can do almost anything I want except running away or try killing them. Kurapika's knuckles turned bone white as he clenched his hands too tight that his nails dug into his palms. Gon was, as usual, seeing the good in every situation. He thought that just because he couldn't leave didn't mean he couldn't enjoy it, or live fairly well. He wanted to see the positive aspect of everything, that this specific situation was annoyingly pissing Kurapika off. Life was not that simple to shrug off the fact that some people tortured him and forced him to join them. And yet Gon did just that. Just that. Hisoka was outside, Kurapika knew, so he couldn't strangle the boy yet for his utterly optimistic obliviousness. Though he wanted to do it so badly, he wanted to tear the team with every fiber of his body. But this was Gon, the light-hearted, light-spirited, good-willed Gon. The happy Gon who brightened his life, showed the horizon for him. He was almost about to smile. Almost. But this was still Gon who attacked, stole, and killed. The urge to smile faded as fast as it came. Gon betrayed them. He abandoned them, left them. He didn't fight to return to them anymore. It wasn't like he did it on purpose, to give up, but Kurapika's right judgment had been clouded by sheer anger. This was not going down the track Kurapika saw it going. He expected Gon to start blaming himself for things that weren't exactly in his control as he always did, then attempt to return to his old friend's good graces. What he got was an oblivious murderer, thief. Kurapika, your chains are loose. Do you plan on using them against me? Kurapika's eyes snapped up to meet Gon's now disappointed, suddenly gloomy eyes, then at his hands. His chains were out. He could do a multitude of things. The chain can do everything. He can kill the boy now, or he can monopolize him into leaving this rundown shack with him. He can also order Gon to return with Hisoka, then make a scene about killing himself. That way, one spider down, one traitor down. It was, like a win-win situation, wasn't it? Was it though? No, Kurapika wasn't going to kill the boy who helped him a few too many times. Killing him or blinding him wasn't the way to repay Gon's endless goodness. Someday, he was going to return. How? He was leaving it to the god he never believed in to explain. When the time comes, it will. Why are you so quiet? Kurapika stood up. He wasn't answering to that. What would he say? Oh, I was planning your demise. Then I begged the god that I shunned my whole life for a way to have you walk back to us. He just left Gon staring after him, his seething forsinki quenched. Kurapika, I'm going out. Monotonously called Killua as he closed the door behind him. He sighed. A life without Gon was hopeless, he knew. Gon was the one who pulled him put of becoming a heartless assassin, he couldn't let him go like that. If Gon couldn't, or wouldn't, come back to him, he'll go to the other boy. Even if that meant he will abandon Kurapika to that vile troupe, he wouldn't ever leave Gon's side. It was a no separation till death kind of situation. Sure, he seemed to be a fickle person, but only in this. Gon was his life, his being, his only true friend who saw him at his absolute worst and best. It was Gon who fought when Killua told him to, and only gave up when the situation was in need. Gon didn't give up in the hardest of circumstances, but this was different. In the others, he was almost willingly there. In this recent separation, it was a completely unwilling, tortuous occurrence. It was his breaking point, for Gon didn't want to die. As evident as all this was, Killua was also attached to the boy who was his savior, his dearest person, his brother in all but in blood. Of course, he didn't know if the Phantom Troupe members were going to kill him first thing he stepped in their base, but he was risking it. He hoped that Gon appreciated this, or else, he sighed. The whitehead sighed again as he saw himself surrounded by many troop members in their base. He was alive though, so that's a plus. Gon was sitting back, not attacking him, meaning he was still in the safe zone so long he didn't show a sign of attack. Well, as fine as he could be while being almost hounded by those spiders. Oh, Killua, what are you doing here? Asked Gon innocently. Requesting to join. Gon tilted his sideways in surprised confusion, the other members gaping in shock. All, of course, except Kuroro, who merely raised an eyebrow, and Hisoka, who looked creepily amused. Really? Are you really going to become one of us, Killua? Gon grinned like crazy, hazel eyes gleaming all of a sudden. Now at the other teen's side in a quick second it was scary. Why yeah, Killua looked hesitant. Of course he was. He was joining one of the most dangerous murdering and theft groups, betraying Kurapika, just so he could stay with Gon. It was all about Gon, all for Gon. He didn't know if he was doing something wise or utterly suicidal though. Gon squealed for a moment as he wrapped his arms tightly and quite excitedly around Killua's neck. Who said we want him to join? Gon, said boy froze in place. Kuroro was right. Gon shrunk. He was right. He got way too ecstatic once he heard his best friend coming to his side. I'm sorry, I hoped you would accept because Killua and I worked great together. I should have asked before I got excited, and Kuroro raised his hand to stop Gon's panicked rambling. We'll have to test him first, Gon. Then, I'll decide. Gon blushed a little, but nodded. So there was a chance for Killua to join. Why he thought about it to begin with, Gon couldn't get himself to care. I'll train him. You can test him a week from now. He'll be just perfect, I know it, he said cheerfully, dragging his friend by the hand into his room. Once in, Killua paused, and turned to face the other boy. Are you really okay? Gon, as carefree as usual, couldn't comprehend why his friend was so serious. Yeah, and I will be even better if you join us. I will train you properly, not enough to beat me like before though, he fake pouted, but just enough to be accepted. He grinned just then while the Zoldyck merely rolled his eyes. Anyways, lunch is in 5 minutes, then we rest for 30 minutes before training so our stomachs don't upturn and cause us a nasty indigestion. Killua chuckled. At a rather awkward meal, where Killua didn't dare talk, Gon was positively the most active on the table. He talked lots, and the other troop members answered. He noticed how they interacted casually, like normal people. He thought over what Gon told him in those few minutes before lunch about their past. He linked things. They weren't born thieves or murderers, but life didn't gift them the best of circumstances. It led them to this, but in the very end, they were still human who could act, human, despite being the most wanted group on Earth. He was snapped out of his thoughts once the boss called out for him, asking about his Nen type and if he had a speciality or another. Yeah, maybe this wouldn't be too bad after all, if we omit the stealing, and killing, and being part of the troupe as a whole. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and let me know in the comments. Rei What If signing out.